What you doing?
Welcome back to the knife studio, everybody. I am preparing to gun blue fittings, finally. And I will have the knife done today, at last, I think. If we get the fittings blued properly. Which may or may not go well, because sometimes they don't blue up right.
You want to just give us a brief thing of what your knife is and what it looks like and stuff?
I'm working on an 18-inch dagger blade. Well, the blade's 18 inches. The overall is more than 18 inches. Yeah, so I'm making a big, massive dagger with fossil walrus ivory handle, 24 karat gold wire in the flutes. And all the fittings are steel with a bunch of gold wire inlay. So I'm just doing the final prep right now on the steel to get it ready for gun bluing. So we're gonna gun blue all these pieces nice and black, and we'll make the gold just pop. Like, it'll be really, really pretty. So I have a tiny bit more sanding to do on the fittings, and then they'll be ready to buff. And then after buffing, I can start the bluing process. Have almost every surface finished on this guard, so I gotta be real careful not to scratch it at this point. I just need to clean up these areas right here, and then this will be ready to go. Got a little tape on there. And some pretty clean leather. Clamp it up tight and finish sanding on this. So yeah, sanding. Been doing sanding for like 2 days. Plus I did some before I did the inlay.
Hey Nick. Nick said good afternoon.
Hello.
Bellers.
So this area has a 320 finish on it. I'm gonna sand this with a little 600. Get this flat area cleaned up. The quillion parts of the guard are at 2500 already, but I just got to get the lines going nice and straight before I buff it. I left this part a little bit coarser because I was clamping it earlier and it might have gotten scratched, so I left these flat parts on the sides of the guard at a little bit coarser grit until now. I'm just looking for all the previous grit scratches and getting rid of them. So they're all gone.
Let me know how the sound is, guys. Like the sound and everything, and let me know if it gets skippy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. That'd be bad.
There goes 5 hours. Yeah, just about got it. Alright, there's 600 on that piece. Go ahead and do 1500 while I'm here.
Nick says he hates guard work. I have so much trouble holding a work piece.
Yeah, that can be really rough. Thankfully this one has these flat spots on the side that make it a little easier to clamp it when I'm sanding the front and back areas, I guess, of the guard.
It's being held on by some leather, ain't it? So it don't scratch.
Well, I got some tape and some leather, but if the leather has sanding grit or something in it, it can still cut through the tape and scratch it. Almost done here, just a couple more minutes and this guard will be done being sanded on, and I can start buffing all the pieces lightly. It won't take a lot of buffing, just a little bit, since they'll be sanded to 2500 grit. Just want to give them a little bit of extra shine before we do the gun bluing, because whatever surface the steel has on it before you gun blue it, it'll have you'll see the same kind of surface afterwards, except it'll be like jet black. All right, 2500 grit. And, right now these are at 2500 grit, but the scratches are going sideways, so I'm gonna get it all going nice and straight. You can see quite a bit of sanding has been happening here. Like 5,000 little bits of sandpaper on the ground.
Sam asked a good question. Do you ever have problems with maintaining motivation?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to really have problems maintaining motivation, especially before I started working with my family being here. Kind of got burnt out here and there at making knives, but just kind of pushed through it because I really enjoyed it still, and I knew that if I pushed through that dry spell, that eventually it would become more fun again, and it did. But yeah, I think the best thing to do is just keep doing new and different stuff, because that keeps more variety and stuff going on, and keep learning different things that can help make the pieces better. Yeah, that's just about there. And do some final strokes on it.
So people are getting some static. I'm going to try and plug in this mic, see if it's any better. Is that any better, guys? Now you probably might be able to hear me or might not be able to hear me. I don't know. Let me know if you can hear me.
Static?
Yeah, we're getting some there. Nick says much better. All right, there we go.
Don't we need the mic?
We can use the phone mic.
What's wrong with your mic?
I don't know. It's been staticky. There, they can hear us now.
Final strokes here on this. Some little scratches on the gold there. Have to sand that out more.
Just trying to figure this out, guys. Hey, you want to hold this for a second?
Hold this.
Yeah, and smile and look pretty. I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it.
Got it?
All right, let's try this again. And all right, how's that? Let me know how that sounds.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm gonna assume it's probably staticky again, but let me know. I want you guys to hear it the best you can. We good? Perfect. All right, we're good now. Perfect. All right, we're back in action. So you say you're going to gun blue after you do that?
I gotta buff all the pieces first, and then gun blue them. Yes. Okay, so that part of the quilling is done. Just spit all over the guard.
Nick says he finds working with other people to be motivating, especially family or friends.
Yeah. Definitely. Can't see what I'm doing here. Get the light. This part is so shiny. So shiny. Can you see the gold inlay there, Josh, at all?
Yeah, looks so pretty.
Okay. Theoretically, this should be the last piece of sandpaper that gets used on this knife. Unless the bluing.
I mean, all of those weren't?
Those were used on the knife. This is the last one to use on the knife. Last piece of new paper.
All right, cool. See you, Nick.
Theoretically. If the bluing doesn't go well, then I'll need to sand off all the bluing and do it again.
You want to let people know if they have any questions or anything? Let them know.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, if you have any questions about what's going on here, then let me know, and I'll try to fill you in on what I'm doing here. I would like to move this piece up a little bit, but I don't want to unclamp it and move it, because the more I do that, the more likely I am to scratch it. So I'm just going to keep it here in this kind of weird position.
Ooh, Brad has a great question.
And finish.
Beautiful work as always. Question about mills. I enjoy watching you use the Grizzly. What are your thoughts on the machine and any recommendations on a lower budget entry level mill?
I will get to that. 1 second.
He's focusing.
Let me finish this spot.
So here's the mill he has right now. This thing is pretty.
So the Grizzly's been really good so far. This one, but I will say you want to be careful with what you get, because before I had that one, I had this combo mill lathe. So this is actually a milling machine up here. This is the most useless thing ever. I mean, you can barely use it as a drill press, possibly. Because this thing actually swivels, and to tighten it, you actually just tighten this like thing down right here, and you can never get that head to completely quit moving. So it's almost useless as a milling machine, because if you go to anything with it sideways, like, it moves a little bit. So I like Grizzly stuff if it's some of the bigger stuff. I mean, as a lathe, it works okay. And if you didn't want to get a big floor model like this, like you wanted something, I consider this pretty low budget because it's Grizzly, and even though it's big and everything, I think it was like $3,500 or something like that at the time. If you get one of their tiny mills, make sure it's like something where the head can't move around like that combo thing, because that's just worthless. But they have other small versions that don't do that, I'm pretty sure. Something also, I'm not sure how this comes in like a tabletop mill or a smaller one, but something that's really, really, really handy for a milling machine to have is for the knee to be adjustable. That means this whole assembly can go up and down. That's pretty important to have on a mill. It just makes them a lot better than if all your up and down was from this. It's just going to be a lot more wobbly and loose and not near as accurate as far as like cutting down to certain depths and stuff. So an adjustable knee is really good, and I think there's tabletop mills with that. I really like this so far. The only thing I've had go bad on it so far was the spring in here, and I think there possibly might be a bearing going out. So yeah, the spring broke that recoils the spindle back up in there. And part of the problem with getting like a Grizzly is they change models so often that they actually couldn't get me the replacement spring for that. So we ended up just going through the store and looking at their milling machines and like picked one that looked similar and said, well, how about the one for this? And it happened to fit in there. So that can be a little bit of an issue because they're constantly changing models and stuff. You might have to fix it yourself without much help from them if something goes wrong. Other than that, just the bearing I think is possibly going out in this. But I've had it for a good number of years, so it's been pretty good as far as that goes, I would say, in my opinion. it's really hard to change speeds. That's a little bit of a downfall, but not a deal breaker. Like to change the speeds, you gotta stick your hands in here with all this sharp cast iron and switch all these belts over to whatever speed you want. So it's a little bit of a pain as far as that goes, but it still works really good. But Grizzly's got, like, this is just kind of the medium-sized one. They've got some really big, super fancy ones there that look pretty sweet. And then they've got some really nice-looking little benchtop models, I think, too, that would probably work really good, especially just for milling out guards and stuff. I like to be able to mill out some bigger stuff on here. Yeah, someday I might look into getting a Bridgeport or something, because those seems like a lot of people like Bridgeports. But it's definitely not like a necessity to have as a milling machine. Something else really important is to get a good vise, because if you have a good milling machine without a good vise, then you might as well still be just using a drill press. For a couple of years, I used the vise that came on this, and it was almost as loose and wobbly as like a big rough vise like the one over there mounted on my anvil. And I didn't realize how good an actual milling machine vise would be until I got this. Like, I didn't know any difference, so I just kind of used it for a couple of years. But I got this, and it's amazing because you can clamp something in here, and your workpiece doesn't move when you clamp it in there. Like with my other vise, you'd put a piece of metal in there, and when you go to clamp it, it would like tip up quite a bit. But with this, it stays like perfectly flat when you clamp it, and I can clamp something super tight over here on the side, and the jaw won't flex over to the side or anything weird. So that's really helpful to have as a good.
Do this for a while.
For a while.
Yeah, other people.
Anything?
There you go. You're on.
All right, we're back. There we go. All right, we're good now. Sorry about that. I guess the, all right. Ooh, pretty. Yeah, we gotta bring internet or something out in here. It's not the best. Why don't we open the door? Probably wouldn't help.
Well, my phone gets good internet out here most of the time.
Yeah, we might have to do it with your phone next time. All right, what are you doing now?
My old iPhone didn't. But it was a 5S. Now I want to get these parts buffed up. Well, first I think we need to get the heat going on this cleaner. Where's the little torch?
Sam has a great question. Are small wheel attachments for belt grinders worth it? What are they most useful for? Want to show us some? Do you have any?
Yeah, they're super amazing. I need to get more of them. Used for all sorts of different things. Like, all this area in here was shaped out with a 3/4 inch round wheel, I believe. And then I use a 1/2 inch wheel right here for this radius. Yeah, I have 1/2 inch, 3/4, 2 inch, and 3 inch. And I use them all except for the 3 inch. I don't use that one very much, but they're all super handy to have. It'd be nice to have like a full-blown set of about every size they have, but do all sorts of shaping and stuff with this wheel. And then almost all the shaping that I do on my handles, most of the time I do with this 2 inch wheel. Because I can really get in there and just see what I'm doing really well. And then, yeah.
So pretty much they're definitely worth it.
Oh yeah, I love them. Use them a lot. I've replaced bearings, like especially on this little one. This one's probably had about 10 different bearings replaced on it over the years. So I've used it so much. And it's spinning really fast because it's only a 1/2 inch diameter. And that makes it spin incredibly fast. Okay. I think I want to buff on these parts with... Oh, I was getting the thing started up, wasn't I?
Yeah, you're gonna heat something up.
I need to find a little torch.
He's gonna find a little torch. He'll be right back. I don't really want to go in there because I think I'm gonna lose connection. We'll try a different phone next time, and so it'll be better next time. Don't worry.
Can't find anything. Dad put it somewhere.
For a torch. Here's a torch.
The little one.
No, it's big. It's huge.
I don't know.
Again, if you guys have any questions, let us know, and we'll try to answer them.
There it is.
Found it. Yeah, right now I have the Wi-Fi turned off because for my phone, he gets like no Wi-Fi out here in the shop. So I'm using cellular data.
Oh yeah, Wi-Fi won't work out here.
Yeah, so I got cellular data on, which that itself is kind of rough over here in Cleaver. For me anyways.
It's because you got that super old phone.
All right, we'll try yours next time. So what's this stuff?
This is the cleaning solution, chemical cleaner. We'll soak the parts in here for probably a half an hour or so before we put them in the bluing salts. And I don't remember how hot this needs to be. I think it's 170. Yeah, 170, 180. So I just wanted to start to get this heating up while I'm buffing on the other parts so we can get the timing down to have these in here as soon as they're buffed. As soon as I get the parts in here, then I'll light this up, and by the time those are done soaking in there, this bluing salt solution should be heated up to the proper temperature. We'll open the garage door though when we heat this up because this stuff has some nasty fumes and stuff, so we'll have it right here at the big garage door. Let those fumes go out of here.
Robert says he has an extra router he'd give us for the shop. Do you think that'd work though? I don't know. Caleb did something weird with the internet setup.
I have no idea. No idea.
Yeah, my brother customized pretty much his own kind of router in a way, and it's this fancy, expensive thing because you can't really get internet out here, but he Googled it and he found a way to get internet out here somehow, so I don't know. Whatever. Apparently what we got's the best you can get, which isn't really good. So we're all going off of cellular.
Yeah, we got it. I think we're getting like, I don't remember how fast the internet is actually, I don't know.
It's not fast, let's just say that.
It's pretty fast, you can watch 4K stuff.
Oh really?
Sometimes.
Oh.
But it's not the fastest.
Oh, okay.
And the router doesn't send out here in the shop very well.
Yeah. And you have a tin roof, don't you?
Yeah.
I just think this is the coolest thing.
So just need to lightly buff these pieces. So I'm using a Sunshine wheel from Rio Grande with no buffing compound on it. The Sunshine wheel is treated with micro abrasives in the wheel, super fine micro abrasives. And I really like the Sunshine wheel for just doing some delicate light buffing.
Yeah, we got some guys asking about your buffer. What is it? I think it's a squirrel cage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big squirrel cage fan. I had this was my temporary disc sander. I had my disc mounted to it, and I don't know where it's at, but yeah, somewhere around here I've got a super nice 9-inch disc for a disc sander that I got from Nathan the Machinist back on blade forms years and years ago, and it's like hardened steel and perfectly balanced and everything, and I had it temporarily on there. Then I bought this disc sander, and it's got a pretty good aluminum one on there, so I haven't changed it, and I just temporarily put buffing wheel on there just because it's nice to have 2 buffers. So yeah, sometime in the future, hopefully we'll get like a little table set up with like 3 or 4 buffers on it, just so we're not constantly changing wheels. Dad's always using one wheel, and I'm constantly going between like a buffing wheel and these Scotch-Brite wheels, because I use these Scotch-Brite wheels all the time, pretty much. So yeah, it's pretty janky at the moment, but it gets this turning at a speed I like, so.
So Trevor, he says, always have about one one screw gap in my guard fit up. I use a carbon file guide. With your mill trick, I file the top and bottom until the file slides with no gap, then hammer fit. Anything I'm missing? Pretty much sounds like what you do. So he uses the guide, and he files it, and then he hammers it to fit.
Well, I hammer my guard on really hard, but then I also take it in under the microscope with the engraver, or with the high-speed dental burr, and I remove all that metal that the ricasso left an outline on the metal. I remove that metal, and then I hammer it on further, and I keep removing metal until it sits down into the metal a little bit.
I'll show him what that's what you mean, because I actually know what you mean. So right here, he engraves that out, and then the knife just sits right down in there. So that way you don't see any gaps. I think that's... You might possibly see something.
Yeah, because you'd go and do some sanding or something later on the guard, and you might see a little bit of, again, talking work. Yeah, okay, what are you talking about again, Josh?
It sounds like to me he's missing the part where what you were saying, you engraved it out, right? And it fits in there perfectly.
Yeah, that's the cutting out the area for the ricasso to sit up into the guard is the extra special part about the way I fit my guards. If you don't cut that out and you have it just fitting flush, it may fit really good, but then you might go and sand on that area a little bit, and then it might not fit. But with this, it fits like 0.010 of an inch down in there, so if you go sand over the top of it afterwards, then it's still gonna fit really well.
Right. And we made a video on that, on how to get the perfect guard fit, and you go into pretty in depth about it.
I don't remember how in depth we go.
Yeah, I don't remember how in depth, but I believe we showed all the process, and it's pretty helpful, I think. Let me know if it's helpful to you guys. Mike says, thanks Kyle for all the advice and help.
You're very welcome. I'm not sure. I like this buffing wheel, but not sure if it's quite the one I'm wanting to do. I'm just gonna leave this off for now, actually, because it's probably gonna take me a while to get these parts ready.
Trevor says, thanks guys, I can't grave mine just yet, but I might be able to try press fit instead of hammer fit, so I'm not indenting my guard face.
Yeah, I think you could do the exact same thing I do with the high-speed dental burr, and I don't remember how much money that is. I think it's like $500 or $600 or something. You don't have to have the microscope if you just use an optivisor or something. So you could do it the exact same way I do for like whatever the cost is of the dental burr. But you could also do it in a way that wouldn't be sacrificing too much at all with possibly a really good optivisor that does like 3 or 4 times magnification or something like that, and a really tiny carbide burr on the Dremel tool. I think you could actually probably do it with that. It would be a little bit trickier because you could mess up really easy holding the big bulky Dremel tool, but you can get some really tiny carbide burrs for the Dremel tool that would almost be the same size that I'm using. It's going to want to catch a little bit more though, because it's only spinning at 35,000 RPMs versus the high-speed dental burr turning at like 320,000 or something like that.
It's so shiny.
This is pretty much just an ordinary wheel with pink buffing rouge on it, which is one of the finest buffing rouges that I have anyway. Yeah, there was some little tiny scratches and stuff from the 2500 grit paper that the other buffing wheel wasn't quite taking out. This one's a little bit more aggressive. I think I'll run them over this, and then I'll probably lightly buff them on that softer wheel. It should be good there. Yeah, that's looking good. So this piece is ready to be touched up on this buffer a little bit.
And that's your spacer?
Yeah, it's my front spacer. Go ahead and do this pommel nut.
So shiny. And that's your pommel nut?
Yep. This is my pommel nut.
Kyle's had this cup for, what, 14 years now?
Yeah. It's been around longer than knife making for me has. So this piece, it's got a bolt super glued into it right now. Probably need to get that out of there before I do anything else with this one. Yeah, so let's get this bolt out of here. Use a little heat.
Trevor said Alex Steele had an engraver video with a small corded engraver that has super high RPM. And I don't think it is very expensive. Might try engraving once I find good carbide bits. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I actually want to get one of those in addition to the high speed one that I have, because it's a lower speed, I'm pretty sure, but it's got a lot more torque. So I want to get one of those for doing like more heavy removal and stuff. But one of those would definitely work really well for doing the guard thing too, because you can put little tiny burrs on those and it wouldn't be near as bulky as a Dremel tool, and they still go a couple 100,000 RPMs or something, I think. Pretty sure. So I want to get one of those in addition to what I have at some point. It'd probably be a lot easier to get burrs for them too, because I think that takes like a 3/32 inch burr shank, whereas the high-speed dental burr thing only takes like 1/16 inch, and those can be kind of hard to get my hands on. So I don't really want to be churning my metal colors or anything. I'm just trying to heat this bolt up enough that hopefully the heat will go inside and make that super glue let go, so I can get that out of there. I just had it super glued in there so I could easily hold this thing and like clamp it and stuff.
Smoking Joe.
There we go.
I'll try it out. So we got
Some super glue inside of there still.
someone says, hey guys, about that guard fit, I was wondering if the etching process doesn't cause a little gap due to the slight loss of material during the etch. Thanks for the amazing videos. Cheers from Brazil.
It can affect the fit a tiny bit, but it already fits so well that, I mean, almost any time you etch the guard, it's going to affect the fit a little bit, but this way affects it the least compared to any other method I've seen. It still comes out super, super tight, and I even do a little bit of hand sanding on my ricasso and etch my blade and my guard afterwards, and it's still perfectly tight for the standards that I like to have. You might have a little bit of like a tiny little gaps in some of the low places, like where the 15 and 20 or the 1084 was etched away. But you're pretty much going to get that with any method you do, I think. Turn that off.
But you're not etching the guards, you're just gonna glue it.
Not this guard, but the blade needed etched.
Ah, gotcha.
If there was no gold inlay, I could just buff on this really hard and not worry about anything, but with the gold inlay in there, I don't want to buff on it too hard because the buffing wheel can eat away at the gold faster than it eats away at the metal. That's why I'm just kind of lightly buffing on it. This part's kind of hard to hold on to. It's so slippery and weird shaped. It's like holding onto a wet bar of soap or something.
You don't want to drop this one.
I don't like the way the buffing compound's sticking to the gold, so I'm going to spray a little WD-40 on the wheel. That should help the buffing compound not stick and ball up on there. Also, it can help the wheel cut a little better, a little more aggressively.
Oh boy, these guys are making soap jokes now. It's kind of funny.
Only kind of funny ones?
It's kind of funny.
Okay, this is the worst part to hold on to now.
Don't drop it.
It's very slickery.
So, Josh, he's asking, hi again, thanks for the videos. I'm having an issue on the front faces, having a small little dome, even when I use a file guide to clean the shoulders up. Any suggestions on that?
Yeah, again, it just goes back to hammering that guard on and removing that material and having that ricasso inlaid into the guard, because it eliminates all those problems. Because a lot of times, even using the milling machine, a lot of times I'll get a tiny bit of a dome on the part of the ricasso that touches the guard, like the shoulders of the ricasso that touch onto the guard. A lot of times we'll end up with a little tiny bit of a variation across them or something. So having that sit down into the guard just eliminates all those problems that are caused from that. Yeah, my best suggestion would be to just start getting your guards to fit up over the ricasso a little bit, using, you know, a Dremel tool very well might work with a really tiny burr. But there's definitely some other machines out there that you can get into for not too much money, and an Optivisor. You don't have to have the microscope for sure. It makes it convenient, but you don't have to have it.
So someone who doesn't know much stuff, to me, what's a front face, like what is that? Is that on your guard or something? So you're talking about the guard?
Well, I assumed he was talking about putting the file guide on here, like this.
Oh.
And this part here, where the guard touches the ricasso, getting a little bit of a like dome shape or something in it. And that happens to me even with the milling machine. I think it's because I mill the sides a little bit, like 0.010 of an inch, and then I grind the rest of that material down, and the grinder actually doesn't get as close as the mill does, so I end up with a tiny bit of a dome too. But my guard sets down, like the ricasso is inlaid into the guard, so it eliminates any problems that come from that. And that's part of why I do it. It's just for problems like that could arise in other problems. Okay, so these 3 pieces are ready to go for the final buff, and now we got to do the guard, which is going to be the most difficult because it's got the most weird shapes going on, and the most surface area, and the most gold inlay. Guess I'll just pick an area and start buffing. Get these little tiny radiuses worked on first, I suppose.
And again, you're buffing all this to get it all ready for gun bluing, is that right?
Yes, I'm going to gun blue these parts. I want it nice and shiny.
So what's the most, I guess, hardest / stressful / weirdest thing about gun bluing?
Well, one of the hardest things is getting the salts just the right temperature, because if the salts aren't the right temperature, it'll either put weird colors on your part, or it'll not do any bluing whatsoever. It's hard to get the temperature to the right place because water is constantly evaporating out of the salts, which makes the boiling temperature lower. And so you have to add water in if the boiling temperature gets too low. And if your boiling temperature is too high, like if it's boiling before it's at the right temperature, then you got to add more water in, or you got to add more salts in to get that temperature to go down. So it can be kind of fussy to deal with. And also your parts have to be perfectly clean. It's really important.
We got a comment saying, ain't fun gun bluing, kind of toxic.
Yeah, I hate this. I hate doing the gun bluing, but I love the finished product. Absolutely love the finished product. But I hate the process.
Are you gonna have Dad kind of manage the temperatures again?
Possibly. Might have Dad do a little bit. Can help out a lot. Have a second person there to keep an eye on temperatures the whole time while you're getting the pieces cleaned up and put in there and everything.
So Josh says, he's the guy you answered earlier about the dard. So without a milling machine, try and create a recess with a Dremel tool.
Yeah, I would try using a Dremel tool or one of those high-speed rotary burrs of some kind. Maybe not like the dental one that's super high speed, but some kind of a Fordham or Dremel tool or something like that. I'll definitely try it. I'm not saying that it would work because of how big and bulky the Dremel tool is and how slow it turns, but it very well could work. It could work really well. Definitely going to need an optimizer or something though. Probably really hard to do with just the naked eye. Can't see, taking my light.
looking for?
I'm just checking the surface to see if it's looking how I want it to.
Trevor says I would definitely buy one of the flexible extensions if I did it with a Dremel. They are a lot lighter and way easier to control. He says he doesn't think they're over 20 bits.
Yeah, I think I used to have one of those. Worked really well until I burned it up and didn't replace it.
Another comment: spend the money on a Ford ham if you can. So yeah.
A Fordham would be nice. I don't have one, but definitely it would be nice to have in the shop.
He says they don't make Dremels the way they used to.
Yeah, I think I've burned up 3 Dremel tools since I've started making knives, 3 or 4.
Cody asked, Fordham or Gorbet?
I don't know. I don't have either one.
What's yours again?
The high-speed dental burr, I don't even know what brand it is. It's just the thing, GRS sells it.
Gotcha.
Rio Grande has a whole bunch of options though, guys, for those electric, like high-speed hand pieces. So definitely check out Rio Grande. I think they've got like 10 different ones, different price points, different speeds, different torques, different collet sizes. So they got some sweet looking ones on there for sure. I think they have the really high-speed pneumatic air one on there too, like the kind that I have. Pretty sure they sell that one as well. And they have tons of 3/32 inch bits, but not very many 16th inch shank bits.
Trevor asked, what brand belt grinder do you have? Ain't this it over here?
Yeah, that's it right there.
What would you call this thing?
It's KMG.
KMG?
Yeah.
Variable speed.
Not variable speed.
Wait, but you can change the belt and it's a different speed, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that make it variable?
No.
Okay.
Because if you said it was variable speed, people would normally assume that it has a little knob and you sit there. I just say it has a 3-step pulley.
It has a 3-step pulley, not variable speed.
I mean, if you want to go by that logic, you could say almost anything is variable speed. You could put it on like a variac and control this variably, technically. I gotta be careful not to slide my fingers around too much on this while I'm doing it, or I could be scratching it. My fingers are covered in buffing compound and stuff. Almost done here with this.
So, I want to ask, have you ever worked with Argentium? It's a newer silver alloy with some nice working properties. What is it? Argentium.
Yeah, I only use Argentium silver these days if I'm doing anything with silver. Unless I specifically want it to patina, then I'll use like fine silver or something, but yeah. pretty much just use Ergenium silver because you can get it softer. There's more variation on how hard you can get it. Doesn't patina nearly as bad as other silvers. In fact, almost doesn't patina at all, depending on what environment it's in. Yeah, I really like Ergenium. It's still got enough silver in it that's considered sterling or whatever, because it's actually got a tiny bit more silver in it than sterling silver does, I think. So it's not like you're using a super inferior product or anything.
Someone asked, what's the website he said for the burrs? You know what that means? The burrs.
Rio Grande Jewelry Supply is the one that has a whole bunch of different electronically operated handpieces and pneumatic ones. And they have a lot of 3/32 inch shank burrs. But if you want the tiny burrs, the tiny 16th inch shank burrs, for the super high speed pneumatic tool that I have, I get those from Lasco. Lasco, not really sure. I think it's just the company's called Lasco.
Yeah, Trevor wants to see the lighting set up above the grinder. Dad, didn't you set this up? Yep. Yeah, we've got one light right there, one light right there. Got the wire.
Some different stuff. You gotta look in their main steel though, not like their knife maker selection, because they don't have big stuff there. But if you go to their main steel that they sell, they have some steels in really large stock. The only problem with them is a lot of times you gotta buy like a lot of it. I think when I bought that 1/2 inch by 2 inch wide 5160, I had to buy like 20 feet of it or something.
What are you doing, Dad?
You're ready to make a knife out of that 5160 Kyle was just talking about. 2 inch by 3/8. I want to turn this into some chef's knives. I gotta ask permission first.
I don't think you're gonna be able to do it with the gluing stuff going on.
No, not today. Ready to heat them salts up?
No. You wanna get the cleavage? 180, huh?
1 and 180.
Yeah.
So, what's your latest project, Dad? Show us a little bit.
My latest? I got them over here. Come over here and take a look. Got a little handy dandy utility kitchen knife going on with some black micarta. Vintage micarta, it's old stuff. And I got some knives right here coming down. A steak knife, another steak knife, different stages.
And you're making those?
Yeah. Yep. Getting ready to make 2 large kitchen knives for Little Rock.
Oh yeah, which we're gonna be at, right?
We're going to be there. I'm going to be there, behind the table and in front of the table. Come down and I'm signing autographs too.
Are you gonna be at Little Rock, Kyle?
Yes.
We will be at Little Rock. I'll be there too. Robert says the steak knives are nice.
Thanks, Robert.
You gonna help Kyle maintain temps and stuff?
I run the temperature. I'm the sous chef in the oven, in the kitchen. Maintain. 290, 295, 180.
Trevor said your blades look great.
Thanks. It's been fun. I kind of got left to my own devices on design, so I've been Just kind of doing some simple, fun, little far out things. Got some vintage micarta, some black and some yellow been using up. And I used Bakelite. I just finished a knife today with Bakelite. I don't know where, it's in the other room. It's finished. It's sitting on the out the door table.
Ooh, should we go look at those?
Yeah, Bakelite. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you want to look at it?
All right, what you got?
This is my first little sawed off little kitchen knife. It's a cute little bugger. And that is a diamond wood handle. And this is the Bakelite. It was distressed on the outside of the pieces. I got a big chunk of it, so I cut it in half. And I let that distress come out. I made sure it was on the outside of the scales. And this is a paring knife. I just got done with it today. Just finished it up.
Robert asked, how brittle is the Bakelite?
The Bakelite is like micarta. It's just as tough as the micarta is. I milled it when I was flattening it out. I milled it, and I had my travel speed too high, and it did flake off on the very outside edges. A little bit, so I slowed my carriage speed down, and it milled really sweet. I've had that the Bakelite micarta will twist off too a little bit if you got your travel speed too much.
These numbers are your knife, like this is knife 10.
The 10th knife I've ever made, right there.
Tell us about this guy real fast.
That's micarta. It's vintage micarta. Good find. This is that 5160 that Kyle's got out there, that special bar from Admiral. I need to make 2 more knives out of that. This is off of that stock. We're about 2 3/8 tall, 8-inch, 8 1/4, 8-inch long blade.
What about these 3?
Those are, I can't remember the name of the wood. That's G10. These are some ladder patterns I did. That's my first ladder pattern. And these are some of my second ladder patterns. Burl, integral bolsters, silver spacer, copper spacers, micarta, black micarta.
Is this number 13?
Yeah, that's my 13th knife.
So guys, let us know which one is your favorite, because this is actually going to be really helpful for us, because we're trying to find the perfect design of what a lot of people like. So just let us know which one's your favorite. Say the number. So this one's 13, this one's 11, this one's 10, you got 8, you got 9 and 7. Which one you like the best? I personally am in love with number 10.
It's rocking. The micarta is awesome.
It looks fantastic.
Here's some of my first knives back here, number 2 and 3. I'm going to re-etch these. I didn't get the ferric chloride deep enough in them. And this is, I got left alone with my own design. They're pretty sweet in the kitchen. They're just maybe a little funky looking, but they're pretty sweet when you get your hands on them, start using them. They're really long though, and they scrape really sweet on a block, on a butcher block. Lots of flat,
right?
And they chop really nice.
We're not selling those ones, are we?
No, those aren't for sale. We're actually just beating on these, seeing what it takes to abuse them. You know, just to see how hard the finishes are and how they hold up. And they're fun to test with. We take them home. We do chop tests with them, and it's great. Sharpening tests with them.
So, any reason you went with chef knife over something like a hunter?
That's what everybody told me I was going to do. Like a kitchen line. We all decided as a company to go in the direction of cutlery, Royer Cutlery. So that's part of the reason why we started the name. We started the product line, and they're not a real complicated knife. The integral bolsters get a little crazy, but they're not too bad. So they just take a little more time.
So we got 2 people like this one. Robert likes the Robert likes the heel on this one.
Yep.
And we got a guy who likes this one.
Yeah. Those
also,
feel pretty good.
They like the heel on this one too.
They feel good.
They like teal.
Yep.
2 people like teal and that guy. So
Yep.
that's really cool. Thanks for your input, guys. It's really helpful.
Yep, that's great. I had a hard time getting the heel height tall enough. I'm working on that, and some of my handle geometry, and thinning off some of the fat on some of the earlier knives. Loving this design. These two are looking pretty sleek, pretty sassy. But I want to get a little more heel height like I did on this one. So anyway.
All right, we better get back to Kyle.
See ya.
Make sure we're not missing nothing. If you guys like this video, be sure to leave a like. It really does help us out. And I'm going to trip over something. There's a lot of stuff to trip over. Especially this anvil right here. I mean, it's perfect height. Don't want to trip over that.
As soon as I get these parts in the cleaner, I'll actually have a little more time to spend with you guys here. I can, they'll be soaking for a while and I can actually chat.
Yeah, you look pretty focused right now.
Hard time talking, working, apparently.
Awesome. Thanks for the likes, guys. Really appreciate it.
I'm finishing up the last piece here, guys. Got the other ones done. Take them inside, clean them, stick them in that cleaner, and get the heat turned on that thing, and then take a little break. All right, that's shiny. Can you see this, Josh?
Oh wow. I can see me. Like, I can actually see me. That's so cool.
That gold's gonna pop. Not pop out, that would be bad, but just pop. But stay in. Okay, so all these pieces, they have them all. Guard, pommel nut, spacer, pommel. Yeah, so now I think I'll take them in and clean them one at a time and hang them on a wire, and then we'll stick them in the cleaner. I want to clean them just to get the big stuff off, and then the cleaner will go inside and get all the really small stuff that I can't get with dish soap very well. Need some wire.
Trevor says, when you get time, can you tell us your most used belts for your grinder?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And we do have a video, right? Sell it.
Oh, the unboxing belt video?
That was really fun to make.
I don't know if I said the most used ones or not on that. Maybe I did. Okay, so we're gonna need, I think we'll do one wire for each part.
We got a comment saying, I'm assuming you're talking from experience on the buffer, taking gold and throwing it across the shop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually, I think the buffer is a pretty good test of whether or not you really got good dovetails on the gold and stuff, because it's basically a rag hitting it 50,000 million times a second, and if there's any little bit of the gold sticking out or something, then it's gonna grab it and pull it out. So if we can make it through the buffer, and another good test is to see if tape can actually really stick to the gold and pull it out. So sometimes I'll, like, after I'm completely finished, put a piece of tape on there and rub it really good.
It'd really come out that
and see if it'll pull it out.
Wow.
Well, no, it shouldn't pull it out.
It shouldn't come out, okay.
No, if tape pulls it out, then you got a problem. But a lot of times tape is gonna be able to grab onto the gold way better than any clothing or anything will, because it's actually sticking to it. So I had tape pull out a piece one time. It's not that good of a test, but you definitely know if tape's pulling it out, then you got a problem. But the buffer definitely is pretty hard on it. Also, the Damascus pieces, when they're being etched, sanded on and buffed on and stuff, that can be pretty hard on it. All the etching and everything, that's really good too. Okay, so I got these wires. They're covered in like grease. I might use this wire actually.
And the wires to set the stuff down into the blue stuff. cleaner?
Yeah, this is just to hold the pieces. I'll go ahead and use this wire, but I'll have to scrub them off with a sponge before we do it. So I guess we'll just start with, we'll start with the easiest part, take this in and clean it, and then stick it in the cleaner, then I'll come out and do one part at a time and stick them in the cleaner.
What you doing, Dad?
Heating up the water. Gotta get her up to 180.
So is that just plain old water?
No, that is water with some special mojo in it. This right here. There's a proper sequence to bluing. This is part of the sequence. Brownell, cleaner. And we have instructions on top and when it was opened, how fresh it is. We've had challenges with bluing over the years and we just keep track of everything now and it gets rid of errors and mistakes and stale product.
So what's some of the problems that could go wrong?
Blotchiness in the bluing. Inconsistent, not a good color, not the good deep dark color you want. Yeah, blotchiness has been one of the worst ones. And you just sand it down, do it again, but it takes so much time to do it once. You don't want to have to do it 2 and 3 times. You want to get her knocked out the first time.
Yeah.
So when I started working here, that's all we did for, golly, man, I think the first month I was here, we blew it with punch. And we threw everything in fresh and got it going on, made some tools for bluing. And it's pretty sweet. We had all the bluings came out super dark, super deep darks, Batman dark blue. It's awesome. So we're just trying to get more of the same.
Cool.
I blued some rings when I was making rings. Did some gold inlay on the rings. Smarty's got one of them, didn't she? Anyway. Yep, we're heating her up.
Want to tell us about your setup?
Burner. There's a pipe underneath with a bunch of holes in it, so it heats that up across there. Pretty even for the bluing salts. We'll have to set this almost outside when we start bluing because it's almost 300 degrees and it's 36 inches in the air and just things go sideways, things go bad. So we made a really sturdy stand and we push it outside, open the doors, get some fans blowing so you don't get the caustic fumes in here. This is like this is basically like a trisodium phosphate, a TSP.
All right, Kyle's back. Hey Kyle, who's your gold supplier? And there's guys taking bets saying you're going to say Rio Grande.
Taking bets?
Well, not really bets.
What are the odds?
They're saying if you don't say Rio Grande, you owe them an ounce of gold.
An ounce? So they're betting $1,200 on this? Well, I have gotten gold from Hauser and Miller, so how about that? But no, I normally get it from Rio Grande.
Oh, you said it!
But occasionally I will get it from Hauser and Miller in St. Louis. And that's pretty much it as far as suppliers go.
Oh, that's funny. They guessed it. You guys were right. You totally guessed it.
180.
Oh, that's funny.
Alright, so we got the first part going in here in the cleaner. We get the wire made the right length.
Did you just clean that with soapy water or just water?
Soap water and a sponge.
Where you get your soap? Rio Grande?
Sam's Club. Alright, and I'll go clean more parts and you can come in if you want. I guess we'll do easiest to hardest pieces to clean. So we got that pommel nut and we'll do the front spacer.
Mom, we totally see you. Why are you trying to hide? Kevin owes Trevor $6,000 now.
6,000. What?
I'm just kidding. It's funny.
All right. We're going on 79 minutes we've been live streaming. Guys, let me know who's been here the whole time. I want to know who's been here the whole time.
I have been.
Hal's been here the
Well,
whole
no,
time.
actually, you were in here for a while and I was out there, so I guess I haven't.
Let me know who's been here the whole time. The live stream.
Josh, my brother. So we just want to get the big stuff off right now. It seems like that chemical cleaner does a really good job. For a long time, I used to have really, really bad time with bluing, but I wasn't using the cleaner. And it's really changed my life since I started using it. Hopefully these will all come out perfect the first time. No guarantees, but hopefully they will. Some of the bluing I used to do, I'd be bluing like 8 hours, just over and over, like 5, 6, 7 times in order to get everything perfectly even. But the last couple times I've done it with this nicer setup we've been using, I've pretty much just gotten everything the first time, which is really nice. Because it's a pain to sand all the bluing off later and redo it. It's actually pretty thick. It takes a lot of sand to get it off, and then you got to rebuff the pieces and stuff. You saw how long that takes. Soap water works better than acetone for me for this, just to get rid of the buffing compound and stuff. But you could use acetone too. Any excuse I find to not use acetone though, I try to take it, because as it is, I'm getting my hands drenched in it all the time, and it's probably really bad for your liver and stuff, so soap water works good, so I do that. Like, yeah, see? I got WD-40 in that, acetone in this. And getting oil on.
More WD-40.
I don't know why that's sitting there. That's not supposed to be there, but okay.
Like, the shop is filled with WD-40.
Oh boy. I want to be really careful not to drop these pieces at this point. I said this was like holding a wet bar of soap earlier. Now it's like holding a wet bar of soap, literally, because it's covered in soap and it's wet.
Drop it down your garbage disposal. That'd be so sad.
I will say though, if I do drop one of these pieces at this point, you guys will get a very animated facial expression.
We'll probably have to stop the live.
There may be tears. There may be.
Stop making me laugh.
You're gonna have to get a gimbal on that thing, Josh.
I know.
Can't keep that laughter under control. Yeah, so there's probably gonna be some super glue residue and stuff inside the part still, because I had that super glued in there, but should be okay. Shouldn't mess with the bluing too much. The cleaner should get rid of most all that stuff inside there. That cleaner is pretty good stuff as far as getting rid of contaminants and stuff inside the part. Oh, that's hot. Yeah, so for people who know me well, they would know that I can handle like extreme burns and stuff with the forge and hot metal and everything, but something I cannot handle whatsoever is water that's just hot. Like, Mom will be doing dishes or something, and I'll come stick my hands in the water, and it's just like incredibly scalding hot, and I can't understand how everybody
Beginning, so check that out. We also did another stream last week. You can check that out as well.
Wow, I'm starting to get excited here, Josh. This part's looking pretty. Pretty shiny.
Looks pretty.
Pretty scratch-less.
Just don't drop it. Pretty neat.
Alright, let's go put this one in the cleaner. And we'll just have to clean the guard off. Get the bluing salts fired up. What are you doing over there? Working. going on?
Nothing.
Dad's making a mess.
Guard.
While you're doing your guard, we got a question.
Okay.
All right. Jim, he asked, do you have any tips for heirloom fitting knife scales? And it says, thanks for the great content, guys. You are welcome, Jim.
Heirloom fitting knife scales? Is that the question?
Yeah, do you have any tips for heirloom fitting knife scales? So what's that really?
Heirloom fitting. I'm not sure. I'm just assuming he means just perfectly fit. Handle scales?
Yeah, heirloom.
Heirloom?
Here. I might be reading that wrong. Dyslexic, guys. I'm sorry.
You're not Canadian.
Yes, this is live, Joe. Heirloom. So Cody says heirloom is where everything is oversized on the scale.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking of like heirloom quality. Normally like something heirloom quality is like really nice and perfect or something that you would pass down to generations. So I was thinking it meant just really, really well fit.
And Jim, the guy who asked the question, said museum fit, if that means anything.
Well, that would be more on what I was thinking. But yeah, if you're gonna have the handle scales fitting, well, there's multiple different ways you can do it. So if you want the handle scales to be slightly larger than the tang or the frame or whatever, you can shape your whole handle down, and then after everything's shaped, you can come in and shape your tang a little bit. And the way I do that is just take a divider and scribe a line around the tang or the frame handle, and then grind the tang down just a little bit. And then after that's done, put a line on the handle material up against the tang, and you'll have a line to go to, and you can bull nose that over so it sticks up just a little bit, the handle material. Another way to do it is to just very, very carefully grind your handle material down to the tang or the frame, and just spend a lot of time with your eye looking at making sure it's just the right thickness that you want over the size of the tang, and then go ahead and do your bull nose. So those are the two methods that I've used before, if I'm answering the right question.
Joe says, I love your channel so much.
Well, thanks.
And then Trevor says, if you want to do it on a hidden tang, wrap your guard in 3 or 4 layers of painter's tape.
Oh yeah, that's something I've done. I haven't done it on a frame because the frame's like really narrow, but I have used layers of tape on the front spacer or on the pommel, and then I gently grind close to it and then hand sand the material down to it. And the tape can be a good indicator. And you can put however many layers of tape on there that you want to make the handle material be a lot larger or just a little bit larger than whatever your spacers or something are. So yeah, the tape, painter's tape, that's a really good way to do it.
And Jim, the guy who asked the question earlier, says, thank you so much. That's exactly what I meant.
Okay.
Cool. So we got it right.
Well, we wouldn't have got it right. Somebody let us know what heirloom fit was.
Yeah.
I've done it, but I don't know what it's called.
That was Cody. Thanks, Cody.
I just call it bullnosing the handle material. I don't know. Heirloom sounds more refined though.
Oh, Kyle. Okay, guys. We got a camera.
Not here yet.
It's not here yet, but I'm so excited about it because I'm like the videographer guy, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so much better than the one we had. And we were using my brother's, And he was being so kind to let us use it, and then he needs it now, so he's going to need it for a while. So
Caleb's camera, though, was 2-part photography camera, 1-part video camera. So this part's going to have to lay down. It's going to have to touch the bottom a little bit because the tank isn't deep enough.
for a second. Are you guys back? Is that any better?
All right, we've got all the parts in there. Maybe need a little more heat.
180. You there now?
The camera we ordered is a Panasonic Luminix
I was
G85.
looking at the other mark.
Alright, we're back. We lost him for a second. My phone is getting so hot. Hashtag cheap phone.
Cheap.
It's out of date. It's like 2 years old.
Old phone. It was the most expensive at the time.
Stop making me.
You gotta get saw that side?
Yeah.
I got it low.
All right. So from here on out, safety glasses required.
Whoa, look how foggy it is out there.
Definitely don't want to get this in your eye.
Alright,
Low.
we're getting to the blowing part,
Yeah,
guys.
on low. Just stick your hand underneath it. Oh. I just turn it on and get it idling.
Let's put some water in it because it seems like whenever I put water in it, it definitely helps. I need to go inside and get like a cup that I can put water in.
All right.
Whatever.
So this is it, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. Need water.
Those flames look awesome.
All right, so we'll add some water as Dad gets the hose hooked up there. I'll get my gloves out and stuff.
Blue and gloves?
Yeah, I got some rubber gloves here. You don't want to get this stuff on your skin. It's really caustic. Even when it's cold, and you get it on your hands, it kind of, you can feel your fingerprint like melting away. But when it's hot, I haven't really gotten it on my skin hot, but I've gotten it on leather when it was hot, and it just like melts through it, kind of like water on cotton candy. Maybe not that fast, but pretty fast. So it's really caustic. You don't want to breathe the fumes. You don't want to get splatters in your eye, and you don't really want to get splatters on your skin. And it sits there in bubbles and stuff, so it is splattering all over. You do get some little bubbles, but I normally always try to, even if I was super clean and careful with it, I always try to take a shower pretty shortly after using the salts and wash down everything really good in case I got it on my arms. I mean, it's cold out, so my arms are covered with something this time, but in the summertime, I normally have like just a short sleeve shirt on or something. You want water in it? Yeah.
Need some safety glasses.
So you're probably going to be talking a little bit less now that we're getting into the more scary, serious stuff, right?
No, I should be able to talk more now because there's a lot of waiting around involved in this next stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, normally every time I come out here when you're gun blowing, it's like everyone's super tense, and it's like no one say anything, otherwise something could go wrong.
I mean, that can still happen, but so I want to add water in now. It may or may not need it, but I want to do it now because later when this stuff starts boiling, it becomes really hard to add water in because it boils. We want it to boil at 290 degrees. The salt's what makes it boil at that high of a temperature because normally water boils at 212. So what happens if you try to put water in when it's really hot, when it's at 290 degrees, is the water immediately vaporizes, turns to steam, and causes everything to bubble and boil. So it's really hard. The only way I found to add water in later when it's hot is just to take this piece of metal and slowly drain it on, so it just barely slowly goes in there. But that's really a pain. Well, I'm going to do a little bit right now. It seems like I always need a little bit of water when I start up the new stuff. So we'll try that. And then it should be about perfect timing. By the time this is ready to go, those parts should be nice and clean and ready to go. Yeah. So definitely make sure you use this stuff in a really well ventilated area. Be really careful with it. Some people say that storing it in their shop causes all their tools to rust. I haven't experienced that. It doesn't seem to do anything to any of the equipment in the shop.
Oh, Kyle.
But maybe that's because my tools are already covered in rust. I don't know.
Got a great question. Trevor asked, what's your worst injury from your career in knife making? You really don't get hurt that much, do you?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, the worst stuff is probably stuff that I don't know about yet, like some kind of lung stuff and inhaling things over time.
Like this stuff?
Inhaling stuff over time. This is basically outside. I'm not worried about this, but like, I mean, possibly when I used to use this with the shop closed down, grinding stuff all the time and everything, that's probably going to be the worst in the end. But the worst known incident, I haven't had anything too bad at all. Like, I've never needed stitches. Well, I needed stitches one time looking back on my knee. I had that janky blower setup that you see there down on the ground with my disc on it, and I was sitting at the disc sander, and I got up to grab something and I bumped my knee into the disc sander, and that was one of the worst cuts. I don't know if my pants will pull up that far. Oh, it's like right here. Well,
nah, we can't see it.
Yeah. Anyway, that definitely needed stitches, but I didn't get stitches because I didn't really know if it needed them or not until looking back on it. Other than that, I mean, I was working on the lathe one time, making a pommel nut, or turning down a pommel on a dagger, and I had an engraving chisel set up in the lathe, and I had the cutter off to the side because I was using files and stuff at the time. And for some reason, I jerked my hand over the side and banged the back of my hand right into that engraving chisel that was sticking out. And that thing was like as sharp as can be and tiny, so it like poked in down to the bone right in here somewhere, but that still wasn't too bad of an injury.
Should we tell him what happened to Dad?
I guess bumping my knuckle into the surface grinder. I did that years ago, and that removed skin down to the bone there and was like got infected and stuff. So that was pretty bad and could have been a lot worse. Like I could have lost a finger or a hand or something.
Should we tell him what happened to Dad?
What happened to Dad?
Over there using the press probably a month ago. Dad, no, what happened?
We shouldn't tell him.
What happened, Dad? What'd you do?
I was forging.
How long ago was this?
Probably about a month, I guess. I was forging, running this back and forth, and I had a couple of these little buggers, these shims in there for my height, so I kick them off to the side every once in a while, and one got caught in there like that, and I ran the press down, and it got caught in there. I think it was probably this one right here.
You can see the dent right here. You can see the dent.
That thing it got all bound up, and I was forging, pressing. That thing shot out of there, hit a bunch of stuff on the workbench, and
Okay, no. The next thing I know, I'm inside editing, and I hear this big kaboom! So I'm like, that can't be good. So I come out here, and I see Dad's just looking around, just like, that just happened. And I see there's coffee spilled all over. That metal thing, this thing right here, flew all the way over here and knocked out everything that was over here. It's coffee, everything. Went way over here. And I found it right there. That's never happened to me. That was pretty bad. I mean, if Dad, where were you standing?
right in front of it.
You were standing right in front of it. If you were over,
Right here.
if you were over here,
It came right past my arm.
if you were over here probably, I don't know, 6 inches, That would have gone through your arm.
Through it?
It would have gone through your stomach. It would have gone through everything.
I wouldn't need stitches.
You would not be dad. You wouldn't need stitches.
I'd be dead dad.
So, yeah. Kyle's never done anything like that.
Try not to get your glove over the stuff. I don't want to get shredded.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that story.
Oh yeah, I'll blow them off.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
Alright, back to this.
We need it to be at 290 degrees.
We're at 125 now. And we need to be at what?
290.
290?
Takes quite a while.
Oh, yay. Trevor liked my story, Dad. Story of you.
Thanks, Trev.
We need to be more careful.
Yeah, safety first.
We love our dad.
Dad rocks.
The funny thing is here, that Dad used to be the one that really got on me for not being safe enough in the shop. And now he won't do the very same stuff that he taught me to do in the shop, like wear glasses and earplugs all the time.
Look at him over there smiling, just
He
like...
sometimes does it, but he doesn't do it all the time.
Most of the time.
He just smiles.
Most of the time.
Just smiles. That's funny.
I'm not trying to get him to be safer than he tried to get me when I was in the shop. Just the same amount of safe.
You know, I'm thinking, I never know why people blur out license plates. Should we blur out yours? I think yours is neat.
No. If they're in town, they can stop on by.
Yeah, guys, so I'm going to have a new license plate soon. Super excited about it. I've had this Royers for a while. It's ROYE''S because it was the only thing available. Royer 1 wasn't available. Just Royer. Had to be Royers, like Royer owns it, which is kind of weird. But this year they released a whole bunch of new themes for license plates. Like there's like 4 or 5 or 10 different themes you can get for your plates now, which also made it so there's tons of available names and stuff you can get. So I'm getting Royer 1 with a Don't Tread on Me plate. It's going to be awesome.
Oh.
I wanted Royer 1 originally, but...
You do realize there's going to be someone who's going to key your... I hope
possibly.
So.
To 150. Something I've noticed with heating these salts up is it seems like the thermometer doesn't move at all for a long time, and then all of a sudden it'll jump up like 50, 60 degrees.
Is your thermometer still good from soaking in that stuff forever?
Yeah, it's made for the blowing salts.
Oh. What's Dad doing?
It's off and safe.
What are you doing?
Safety first. We need one up here.
I was gonna say, where are you gonna put it?
Need one right there.
You never wear that.
I do when there's a rack.
Are you showing off for your viewers?
No, you said safety first. I gotta catch up.
Where's your hard hat?
I gotta redeem the days. In the rig.
Where it should be.
No, this will melt. I don't want this on here. Cotton's your friend.
Trevor asked, do you guys know what's in the gray borax some smiths use for Damascus?
Gray borax?
Yeah, do you know what's in it?
No. I don't know what gray borax is, and I don't know what's in normal, regular 20 mil team borax or anhydrous borax. I really don't. It's some kind of a salt product, maybe? Question mark? Don't know. I mean, I'm not just saying that because it looks like salt either. Otherwise, I might say it's some kind of sugar product because it looks like sugar. No. Yeah, I really don't know what's in borax.
He says it's probably anhydrous. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong.
Anhydrous borax is a thing. That's what I use.
Oh, cool.
But more and more, I'm trying to not use any flux at all because you can get cleaner welds without flux. So one of the best methods that I found that just takes more time that I've started to do recently is to completely wrap the whole billet in thin sheet metal and TIG weld all the seams up. And that way no atmosphere can get to the metal whatsoever, and you just, for me, I get the cleanest welds that way that just look really good. This knife I'm working on now, I did like half the welds that way and half of them I didn't. And I wish I would have done all of them that way because the ones I did that way just came out clean. I mean, the other ones were fine, but just extra clean and strong. Well, I don't know about strong, but extra clean with no atmosphere exposed to there in there.
He says, I've also heard that some people have metal shavings in their borax. Oof.
Yikes.
Sounds scary.
Metal shavings. Wonder what that's for. Seems like it would just be an extra source of contamination. But I don't know. Maybe you can let us know why they do that.
He says I don't know.
I think I've seen some people using glass before, especially like the old green glass, the old green glass jars. Take those and crush them up and put some of that on your steel to use that as a flux. And I think I've seen people doing that with, especially making crucible steel, like melting down like scrap steel in a crucible and making like a little billet out of it. I think I've seen them using like green glass to act as a flux for that too. Kerosene will work. Just nothing will work. Diesel fuel will work. Borax works really good if the pieces aren't fitting very tight or something. The borax really helps a lot there. Or if there's like scale and stuff like that. That's where borax really shines for me anyway. But I've tried to get the pieces fitting really good and not have scale inside the billet. We're up to 200 degrees.
We need 290.
This last half to go fast.
Hopefully we can get, I'll probably have the pieces in there for about 30 minutes or so, and hopefully they'll come out right the first time. But we should see some results after about 5 minutes, so I'll definitely show you guys a pommel nut after we've had it in there a few minutes, and you'll be able to see how black it gets.
Trevor asks, have you ever forged wrought iron? And if so, do you know how to forge it without zero cracking?
I've only forged a little bit of it. I have some wrought iron, they were like bridge struts or something, so it was 1 inch diameter round bar wrought iron. And it didn't seem like it was the most dirty stuff ever. It looked really nice when you etched it. It wasn't super dirty and it wasn't super clean. It was just kind of in the middle. And I just heated this stuff up and forged it out on the press and didn't have any issues with it cracking or anything. But all I did was forge it into like 1/4 inch by 1.25 inch bar. So I wasn't pushing it too much. I think I had to keep it pretty hot, but other than that, I've only done a couple little bars of that, and I didn't have any issues with it. So that's my experience with it. Some of the wrought iron you can get can be really dirty though, and be more prone to breaking apart and splitting and stuff. Did you see that piece, Josh?
Dad.
Yo. There's a chunk of it there. I think we have like 40 foot of it or something. Do we still have that, or do we get rid of it?
Oh yeah, no, we got it.
I don't think that's 40 feet.
That's a chunk of it.
Oh.
I'm gonna do a kitchen knife, then put a piece of 15 and 20 down through the center for a cutting edge. Laminate it someday. Sand mine soon.
At least it's not super cold out.
That'll be a really good test of forging, because with sand mine on a blade that thin, you don't have a lot of room for error. Because you're talking about an 1/8 inch thick blade at the most. So if there's a little too much of one on one side than the other, then you grind right through it, and all of a sudden you have one side's all wrought iron, the other side's all 15 and 20 or something. You know what I mean?
You use a piece that 058 nickel.
I'd probably want to forge it more than that though.
Yeah.
Like I'd probably want like a 3/4 inch billet that you forge down into like 1/8 inch, or maybe half. I'm not really sure, but probably more than that. Maybe the 1/8 inch, 15 and 20.
Trevor says, thanks dude, I used an old giant wood auger, but I may have just been moving it too quickly.
Oh. A wood auger? Wow, I mean, I guess they would have made those out of... That's crazy to think of a wood auger being made out of wrought iron. I wonder when they... I wonder what year that would be from.
Roger.
That's pretty cool. I haven't looked for it a whole lot. I've pretty much just seen it on like bridge struts and stuff like that, and wagon wheels and spokes. We're almost up to 250. We're almost there. I would say these parts should be ready to go. They've been soaking for a good 10-15 minutes at least on the last one we did, I think.
Can they actually soak too long?
We're at 22 minutes now.
I don't think so. I don't think it can soak too long, but maybe.
Maybe etch it. Don't want to take blame.
I know before I use this cleaner, I would clean the parts really good at the kitchen sink with Dawn dish soap and bring them out. And if you brought the part out from the sink to here without it being in water or something, just the water from washing it off and everything would leave little spots on it that would show up in the bluing. So when I didn't used to use this cleaner, I would have to put the part in water immediately after cleaning it, and bring it out here in a cup, and then immediately put it in here. You know, because it's really fussy about minerals or something, I think. I think it was just the minerals in the water.
So what are you going to show us today? Obviously you're not going to show us the whole process, but you'll be able to show us something cool in about 5-10 minutes?
As soon as this is hot, we're going to put the pieces in there, and then about 5 minutes later we should start getting results and be able to pull out a piece and show you a piece with the really nice black finish on it. I'll probably let them soak for a good 15-20 minutes, just to... What was I saying? Yeah, I'll let them soak for 15-20 minutes to get a good thick coating on there, but we can see something happening pretty quickly, assuming everything goes well. Yeah, it just depends on how long we stream. I'm basically going to be soaking them in here 15-20 minutes, and then I'll take them out, rinse them, put them in boiling water for 5 or 10 minutes just to get rid of all the bluing salts on them, and then I'll directly put them from the boiling water into some special oil that's made for treating blued pieces. It's water displacing oils that just help displace the water on the part, like up inside there where it can't dry off and stuff very good. And it kind of, I don't know what it does to the surface, but it helps preserve it or something, I think.
Cody says, have you checked your water for ammonia? That's a possibility.
No, I haven't checked it for ammonia. My water was checked when I bought the house to make sure it was drinkable, but I don't remember ever seeing any like results of what exactly was in the water. I know my water smells real sulfury.
Guys, it smells bad. Like
Hot water.
It's not that bad,
it
John.
smells like eggs. Like
The hot water.
boiled eggs. When I first started working here, we had to get bottled water because I couldn't drink it. But now I'm getting used to it, and it's really just the hot water that makes it smell really bad. But it's perfectly fine for you. It's perfectly good for you. It's well water, and so I'm transitioning into it.
Boiling now. simmering on the side. We're a long ways from hot.
Cody says a aquarium test kit. It's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Because fish need to have some pretty controlled water, don't they? But yeah, I haven't had that issue with water spots since I started using the cleaner. Hopefully I won't have any weird issues today.
Huh. Cody says you can take some water to a pet store like PetSmart and they'll test it for free.
Sweet.
That's cool.
That is cool. Thanks, Cody.
Find out how much sulfur's in my water.
Yeah. And see if there's any ammonia, right?
Yeah. I wonder how much ammonia like is drinkable versus not drinkable amount.
Well, that's really cool. Did not know that. We got PetSmart. We got like 3 of them in Springfield.
Okay, we're almost there, so hopefully any time now. I'd like to see it start boiling any time now because as we use the salts, the water will evaporate and the boiling temperature will rise and rise, and if it gets too high, we'll have to add more water in. So I'd rather it start boiling a little bit before we get to the mark on there.
There she goes right there.
What's the temp at?
270 something?
280, 280, 281.
Now, if the wind is too hard, we might have an issue with the fires going out, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't want it get too low. That's too low.
Cody says he thinks Home Depot does it too.
It's too low. There you go. It's got to come around the side a little bit.
I don't want it boiling too much, though. Alright, you watch that
Got it.
religiously.
Got it.
And I'm going to take this stirring stick out.
Alright guys, something's about to happen. We're getting ready to stick the stuff in the thing.
Something's about to happen. It hasn't happened for an age.
What's that off of?
Oh, Josh, you better know.
Transformers?
No. I don't know.
Star Wars.
No.
Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I knew that.
I don't know if that may have been paraphrased a little bit.
You okay over there, Dad? We're too busy guessing what phrase was off of.
I'm good.
You want to rinse the cleaner off with a little water and stick your part in there.
Cody says Dad got all serious. Got
Yeah,
that
buddy.
right.
Oh, look, 300 degrees, 36 inches. It's a little nervous.
Well, at this point, you got to really regulate the temperature, especially with wind blowing in here. It kind of messes with the heat. Let me turn it down a little bit. If it gets just a little too hot, this stuff will boil over like crazy. And if it gets too cold, it might put a bad finish on our parts.
And it'll do it from out of nowhere. It'll just all of a sudden boil like a little eruption.
So there's the spacer he's about ready to put in. There goes in the spacer. How long do they cook?
I mean, you can see results a lot of times after 5 minutes, but I normally like to keep them in there for 15, 20, 30 minutes just to, because it seems like it builds up a thicker coating of the bluing oxidation. Oh yeah, so something else interesting about this process, guys, is we're basically putting rust onto the parts. This is a controlled form of oxidation, basically. And it's actually a pretty thick coating. If you go to sand it off, I mean, it can scratch pretty easily, but if you have to sand off the entire surface, it actually takes quite a bit of sanding to get it all off there. Yeah, just a really, really controlled type of rust that comes out nice and black. Well, technically blue.
All right, next we're doing the pommel.
Yep.
I'm trying to learn my knife part names because I didn't know anything about knives until I started working here, so I'm trying to learn it.
See, by the time we're done with this, the temperature will probably be up to about 300. So I put like half a glass of water in there that turned out to be about perfect.
Sweet.
All right, what are we putting in next?
Last piece is guard.
She's boiling pretty right now. Pretty good boil. But just so we can hold it right there, it'd be great.
Dad, Cody
Yo.
says we need to put more blinker fluid in there.
Blinker fluid? I'm out. We're gonna have to substitute that with some, I don't know,
Oh man.
some horn lube.
Have you seen that, Kyle?
Blinker fluid?
Yeah, the YouTube thing. It's where this. It's so funny. I gotta show you later. It's where this mechanic convinces this lady to buy some blinker fluid. It's so funny.
All right, guys. Do you want to see what the bluing likes in comparison to what it looks like unblued? I just took a little peek, and there's already a nice black coating on the pommel nut. I'll pull it out.
Bro.
I'll pull it out and rinse it off real quick in some water, and then you guys can take a look at it. Something else you want to do is not spray water in this,
It'll explode.
because it'll vaporize quickly and cause bluing salts to go all over the place.
It's spitting out right now. It's spitting little things out.
Don't spit in it either. Don't drink this cup of water either. Let me make sure it's nice and cool. I don't want it to do anything weird. Check that out, guys. You see that gold on there just pops. Can you see it okay, Josh?
Trying. Ooh, it's so pretty.
You see the gold inlay?
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's pretty.
We'll pull out another one and look at it, bigger piece.
See
probably-
that? See that water?
And make sure it's good and cool before I pull it out.
Oh,
That's rocking.
So pretty.
Jet black. Well, technically blue,
Blue.
but you can't see that it's
That
blue.
blue.
Can't see that it's blue unless it's under like certain conditions of lighting.
Man, that's so pretty.
I'm not going to pull the other parts out because it can risk them not coming out evenly, the big parts especially. And I could dunk them in here very easily.
All right, so now you just gotta do that for 30 more minutes.
Yeah, probably
Maybe
15, 20 more minutes. And wow, in a couple minutes we'll dump that container of water out and get some fresh water in there and get that boiling on this other burner. That way we can have that water boiling by the time these parts are done, and they can go directly into there. And the boiling water will get rid of all the bluing salts on the parts. You don't want to leave any bluing salts on the part or inside the part because it can actually kind of rust or something, especially if it's inside the part. Like it could slowly rust and kind of creep and crawl its way out of the part. So it's definitely important to neutralize them really good in the boiling water. Yeah, this setup though seems to work really good. Because before Dad built this, I was pretty much doing all my bluing and everything was all in that one burner, and I was using like a 1 gallon acetone jug, super thin. In fact, I even wore a hole through it one time, through the bottom of it, because this bluing salt can actually eat through the metal over time.
Hey, welcome back to the guys who just got back. You just missed the reveal of the bluing. It looked amazing. You guys need to save this video and go back a few minutes so you can see that.
I'll show them again before we go too. if you
Okay,
want.
he'll show us again, so that's good. In the meantime, it's going to soak in there for about 20, 15, 30 minutes, somewhere like that. But you guys got to see it. It looks so amazing.
Oh, yeah, so the knife's basically done at this point. I mean, putting it together will only take a few minutes really, because it is a takedown. It's not going to get epoxied together solid. The handle's bedded in epoxy, so it fits like a glove. All the pieces have lineup pins, so they fit together really well. Take like 10, 15 minutes probably to put it together. The only other scary thing I have to do is sharpen the blade. That's gonna be really scary. This is my longest blade to date, guys. It's double-edged, 18-inch dagger. about an inch of that, we'll say, is ricasso. So we're looking at 17 inches of cutting edge on each side. So it has got a serious amount of edge to sharpen. And being a dagger, the bevels aren't very wide. You know, like on a bowie, your bevel goes like all the way to the spine, and it might be 2 inches, so the bevel's like pretty flat. But since it's a dagger, the bevels are shorter and it's a little bit thicker, so the bevels are more like this, which makes it so when you sharpen it, you have to have it on a steeper angle than you would if it was a bowie or something where you could lay it down flat, and that just makes it more difficult to sharpen, because if I accidentally lay it down too flat, I'll put scratches all across the Damascus and have to re-sand and etch and stuff, possibly. I actually had to do that on my Mastersmith test dagger. I was like, had it pretty much finished, went to sharpen the blade right before I put the handle on there, and laid it down too flat on one of the strokes and put scratches up on the blade, and had to go back with sandpaper and lightly etch the blade again and refinish it, and it was not fun.
So we got a question. What made you want to do swords, speaking of long blades?
Well, I haven't technically done a sword yet. This one's almost a sword. This one's the maximum size dagger because the blade is going to be just under 18 inches when it's done, and I consider a sword to be anything with an 18-inch blade or longer. Pretty sure the blade on this is going to be 17 and like 15/16 when it's done, so it is not a sword yet. But I think one of the next projects I'm going to be doing, maybe not the next one, but maybe the one after, is going to be a sword. And part of why I want to do it is just because I think it'll be a really fun challenge, and it'll be even a larger canvas for me to try to put my work onto. Literally a larger canvas for Damascus and everything, and it's just going to be a lot of fun, I think, to have a really big, fancy piece. And it's going to require rethinking how I do things, especially with the blade. The handle will be similar to the way I build my dagger handles. It'll just be a little bigger, but the blade is going to require a lot of longer tanks for quenching, and I'm going to have to temper it different than I normally do, and harden, and won't fit on the surface grinder, won't fit on the milling machine to mill the groove all at one time, so there's going to be a lot of extra stuff as far as that goes.
So basically, it sounds like you're doing it because the challenge is going to be nice.
Yeah, yep. I've got some customers out there that really want to see some swords too, so
that's really exciting. So it's going to be your actual first sword. How long is it going to be, the blade?
I'm not sure how long the blade's going to be. It's probably going to be somewhere between 28 and 35 inches on the blade. Still have to go over some specific details and figure out how big of one we're going to do, but minimum is going to be 28 inches. Maximum will be probably 35-ish or so.
It's going to be about
on this first sword.
Hand and a half on the handle grip?
Yeah, I'm thinking hand and a half. Probably won't be 2 hands. Someday though, I definitely want to make like something really massive, like a claymore that's like way bigger than 2 hands even, like with a 5-foot blade or something. I don't know that much about claymores, but this one's going to be like a European broadsword / really big version of one of my big daggers, kind of. I want to look,
because it could make it uneven. But we definitely got to show these guys again one more time before we leave.
Yeah, the more times you pull it out and stuff, the more likely it is you'll mess up something, scratch something, make the finish uneven.
It looked beautiful the way it was. Why can't it just be done like that? Is it not deep enough or something?
I think if you leave it in there a little longer, it makes a thicker coating of oxide build up on the outside of the metal. I don't actually know that for certain, but that's just what a gunsmith told me that had been bluing guns for years and years and years. Something he would do that I've tried a little bit, haven't really had any positive or negative results from it, was to have it in the bluing salts for 5 minutes, and then every 5 minutes take it out and dip the part in cold ice water, and then put it back in the bluing salts, and do that like 4 or 5 times. But I just like to soak them in there for 15 to 20 minutes. Seems like works best for me to get a good durable thick coating on there. We need to get some boiling water going in this. How hot is this thing?
It's at 180.
Rubber glove hot?
No, you should be able to handle it with rubber gloves.
That's just a soapy water.
Can't believe my phone's still going.
About out of battery yet?
No, I got it hooked up to a charger in my pocket.
Ooh.
You know, I don't know what my battery's at. But I will say, I got it hooked up to this guy right here. I love this thing. My grandma got it for Christmas.
3 years back.
Yeah, this thing charges so nice. And it's so small. You hook up micro USB into it. We'll charge it.
Yep.
You press that if you want to charge. So this thing has 2 out of 3 bars. So the capacity in this thing is huge. So that's really nice. Anyways,
Done.
we're back. I'm done. I'm done with my rant.
See, I have one of those too, but I never ever use it.
Yeah, whatever.
Was that a sponsor?
I can go ahead and get my oil out and ready to go.
2 hours, 15 minutes. Just about. It's pretty exciting though. Everyone can't wait to see it again. The shiny thing. What's that for?
This is the water displacing oil that I use. This is a treatment or an oil that's made for bluings parts to be put in after they're blued. And because it displaces water, you can actually, here it is right here. I got this from Jant's Supply. I'm pretty sure Jant's was like absorbed by a different supplier or something years ago, or I'm not.
Leo Grand.
No.
Oh man.
Atlas? Wait, is Jant's still a thing? I don't remember. I could be thinking of a different one.
You want that much water in there, Kyle? Is that some of that out?
Trevor says Jance is still alive and well.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of a different one. Oh, you know what I was thinking of? I wasn't. Yeah, it's not Jant's that's out of business. It was. They used to have the bluing salts. So the original bluing salts I got from them, and that coating and everything. That's what I was thinking of. But I don't. I think they quit selling it for a while, and I don't actually know if they sell it now or not. The stuff I'm using now is Brownell's Oxonate 7. I get like a 5-gallon bucket of it, and it takes quite a bit. Like this tank took, I think, 3/4 of the bucket full, so I don't think I even have enough to mix up another brand new batch. Oh, maybe I was thinking of Sheffield Supply, because I used to buy like all my 416 stainless and stuff from them, and also they had some. I've made folders in the past, and I want to make more in the future. And they had some little tiny 80 spline drive screws that I can't find anywhere else. And the drive was just really cool because most of what you see is Torx, but the spline drive actually has way more surface area, and it just had a little bit tiny bit different look than the Torx. And I just kind of liked those screws because they were unique from little Torx screws that I saw. But I'm pretty sure they might have been the ones I was thinking of.
Cody says micro fasteners.
Micro fasteners?
I don't know. I just thought I'd say it.
I haven't looked. I haven't been on that store before. Did you dump some of the water?
A little bit.
Cody says it's who someone recommended to him.
A little more in it.
I'll check that out. Definitely for the next time I do folders, because I definitely don't currently have a good source for little tiny folder bits.
Woo. We're cooking Joe, man. I'm excited to see this again.
Hopefully they're not like red or something when we take them out,
That'd be pretty.
which is a possibility.
Wouldn't that be pretty?
No, well, not really red, but like, okay, you know,
Mud.
Rust-Oleum spray paint primer. It's like that brownish red. It can come out that color if this salt gets too hot or something like that, or if you get contaminants or something in your salt. I've had issues with that in the past. Coming out kind of red. Yeah, we'll take them out as soon as this water's boiling, which shouldn't be too long. We've got a lot of heat on it.
So, Trevor has a question. Tips.
AC.
Don't you do DC?
Yeah, the way I etch my names in is with the DC current. And I think I'm around like in between like 20 and 30 volts of DC current. But something that I have noticed, like I'll get etching outside of my stencil mark if the stencil is really small. Like I have to make sure whatever my felt is rubber band to, like the part with the electrode on it, whatever that's rubber band to has to be, the stencil has to be bigger than that. Because I've had layers of tape over it, and the tape actually didn't stop the electricity from going through, and I actually got a line right at the edge of my stencil. So maybe, I don't know if you're having the same problem, but maybe if your stencil is a little bigger, if that is the problem, it might eliminate from getting a line around it or something. I have never done any kind of electrochemical etching with AC current though.
Right. I mean, you got one of those little converters and everything that converts it to DC.
Yeah, I'm using DC. So that might be a completely different beast or something. I really don't know. I do know something else that plays a big variable in there is if I use too much electrolyte. I have to have just the right amount of electrolyte, because if there's too much, it can seep under the stencil a bunch and start etching out under the stencil, and it makes the letters all blocky and stuff sometimes. But if there's not enough, then it doesn't really do a good job of cutting away everything cleanly either.
Like Appa says, I use 12 to 15 volt, 3 amp DC, 45 seconds maybe?
45 seconds? Okay. I don't know how many amps I'm using, but yeah, 20 to 30 volts DC, and it takes me, I like to etch them in really deep though, guys, so it normally takes me 5 or 8 minutes or so of etching. Granted, I only use a little tiny 1/2-inch rod to do my little etching, so I'll sit there and etch a little bit and move it over every 5 seconds or so. I think if you were using something like that covered the whole area, you know, it wouldn't take as long.
Trevor says maybe using too much salt water. Thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, that could definitely be it. I don't use salt water. I've never tried that. I've heard it works really well for some people. I use an electrolyte that's from the company that I got my stencils from, which is Marking Methods. I think they're in New York. But yeah, I get my electrolyte from them and neutralizer because it was like really cheap for a big jug of it, and it lasts like forever.
Cody says DC etch and AC makes it black darkened.
Okay.
Need more light. Need light so we can get some light out?
Nah.
All right, our water's boiling.
Yeah.
Turn it down a little bit. I'm gonna start putting the parts in there.
Ooh, goody, we get to see soon again, right?
Yeah, we'll boil them a little bit, and then we can take them out and show them when we put them in the oil.
All right. We're excited. Oh yeah. So you clean them off kind of, and that's just plain old fresh water.
Yep, just boiling water.
Oh man, I'm excited.
I hope they came out
Moment of
perfect.
truth.
I hope they came out perfectly. Not good, but perfect.
If it didn't come out, what would you have to do it again?
A whole lot.
I mean, you'd have to resand the whole thing.
Yep.
All right, the big one.
I'm nervous.
Be really careful not to scratch them at this point. Okay, so queso. Man, I'm getting hungry. I think it's supper time, guys. Some people about this to see if there's a better way of doing it, especially when I start doing raised gold. If you do raised gold, I don't know how you would get back in there and sand on the metal. So I definitely need to ask some people if there is a better way. But the way I've, this is just a super cheap China-made thing, or Taiwan. I think it's from Taiwan actually, and it has to have a hammer on here to hold the button down so it will connect properly. But yeah, I just took this cord, put a splice in it. All I gotta do is plug it in here, and it's AC current all the way up to this. And this is just a little tiny full wave bridge rectifier from Radio Shack, and that changes it from AC to DC. And then I hook that to the blade, and then hook this to a little rod with some felt on it, and go to town on my stencil with that. I normally try to keep my stencil area pretty big. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but the name's pretty small, and then I leave a lot of area around it. Because I've noticed if I cut that stencil off really close to the name, that sometimes I would get a line right there where that stencil was if my little electrode. Yeah, here's my little metal thing with felt on it. So like if this was over the edge, even though there's layers and layers of tape there, sometimes I'd like etch a line in underneath it.
Is it time to check out that cool stuff now?
Yeah, I think we should be able to. Currently it's hot stuff. 212 degrees hot stuff.
Trying to fix the internet. Oh boy, it's locked up.
Locked up?
Let me try to fix it. We're trying to fix the internet. Yeah, I'm trying to fix it.
Come on, Josh.
What to do?
Hey, can you set that out on the ground over there?
This?
Yeah, this.
Oh. This.
Yeah.
This whole thing? This thing here?
Yeah, gently. I want to rinse those wires off. They got some bluing salts on them.
Okay.
You doing good, Josh?
Can you guys see anything, or can you hear anything? Let me know. Come on.
All that work.
Yeah, the video's all locked up on my screen too. I'm trying to fix it. Come on. I'm trying to fix it. Okay. So guys, if you can hear me, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cancel this live stream, and I'm going to start a new stream, okay? So give me just